This week on Gun Talk Nation, you know him, you love him, and now he's part of the Gun Talk team, Chris Cerino. And here we go. Welcome into Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Vortex Optics and Armscor. So, today, we've got Chris Cerino with us. You guys know Chris. Chris, you've been... What would you say that, how did you get here?
I drove. I have a car.
But Chris is in studio with us, and you have been before because you have kind of helped guest host, field host for Guns and Gear. You've done training and hosting on First Person Defender with us.
Yeah. Even shot Gun Venture back in the day.
You did. That's right.
Yeah.
We did some fun gun ventures, but the big news is now it's for real.
Yeah.
Now we're going steady.
I'm full-time now.
Yeah. Full-time at Gun Talk. And if you guys have been paying attention, we've talked a little bit. We've teased it out. We have a new facility, a new office that's turned into a new training center.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, it's huge. We went out there today.
Yeah. And you hadn't seen it. I mean, every day they're renovating, they're working on it, they're building it out.
That's right. I haven't seen it since, I think it was it November?
Yeah.
When I bought my house down here.
Yeah.
So I had driven by it, saw it, and, it didn't look anything like it looks now. The range bags were going up for the berms, things like that. It was all just being talked about really and planned out. And today there's actually rooms inside of it and walls and doors. And I even have an office.
That's right. So this is cool. So, I mean, that came from... We didn't mean to do this. This is like totally an accident. I was like, we need to get some office space.
It's no accident.
And then it was like, oh crap, we found this place. This is pretty cool. It's an old slaughterhouse. It was way bigger. Honestly, it was probably 3 times the size, the square footage of what we needed for our Gun Talk Media offices.
But we can use it all.
And it's on enough acreage where we're like, well, damn, we can build a range.
Yeah, there's 3 ranges right now. And I mean, there's room for at least 2 more.
Absolutely.
But we don't have to do that. I mean, because
there's room to grow.
Stuff. Yeah, but there's room to grow. That's for sure.
And we've got a classroom going in. We have a shoot house. We have basically part of the building. This is kind of sounds crazy, but it's almost turnkey for a shoot house.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's, it's the slaughterhouse. I mean, it's the meat factory.
Yep.
It is, the walls are thick, they're tall, the ceilings are high, it's dark. A lot of hard stuff in there, cement, not a lot of trip hazards. I mean, it's a great place. We're going to figure out a way to divide it up and make it into the thing that we need it to be. Depending on the day, we need it that way.
Move some movable walls and doors and stuff like that. But that part of the building is, I need to probably double check it, but I think it's probably about 4,000 square feet of shoot house.
Oh yeah.
And it's the oldest part of the building. It was the cold storage for the slaughterhouse. So like you said, big thick walls. Yeah. One thing that we're doing is all the lighting in that side is 100% dimmable. So we can dim the lights down, do low light, do no light, do full light, whatever we want to do.
I don't know that I want to see it in the light. I've never seen it in the light yet.
I know. Actually, yeah, you're right. There's currently right now, there aren't really any lights in there.
No lights in there.
So we kind of walk through with flashlights, and there's some light coming in from the windows from the outside and stuff. But yeah. But I thought, I don't know if we've ever done this with you, Chris. You've been doing stuff with us for about 10 years.
True.
And I don't know that we've ever given the audience the full, your origin story. What's the backstory on Chris and how the heck did we get here? And why should we be listening to you?
Yeah, it's true. A lot of people think that Top Shot was the reason I became a trainer. They're like, oh, what did you start doing this after Top Shot? No, I mean, I've been in law enforcement since I was 22 years old. I'm 52 now. I've been a trainer for most of that time. I mean, honestly, I remember, I was never, the funny thing is, and not everybody understands this, but I was never a gun guy.
Yeah.
I was not.
You
a
didn't
gun
grow
guy.
up a gun guy.
No, I mean we had a couple 22s in the basement, and I would sneak one out once in a while and shoot it in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I didn't know anything about it, and I mean it was just. I mean I knew they were there in the rafters, and you know we'd go walk to Kmart and get a box of shells and shoot it in the woods, and I remember the smell and I remember the excitement of it. But I was never a gun person, and even when I became a cop, you know, I had a hunting shotgun. So I hunted a little bit, you know, from the time I probably started around when I was 18, maybe 18 years old. I started hunting a little bit. I liked hunting crows and ducks and things. It was mostly shotgun sports, shooting sporting clays. So then I became a cop, and it wasn't long after that they said, well, you're pretty good. Do you want to be an instructor, a firearms instructor? So I was like, "Are you sure nobody else wants to do it?"
How does that come about? I mean, you're just like the low man on the totem pole, or they actually said you seem to have some ability here?
No, I was the best of the bad lot. I mean, I was the best of the bad lot, and they're like, "Well, you're pretty good, you know." And sergeant doesn't want to do it anymore, so you want to go to class, you know, training. And I said, I remembered exactly that day. I was in the pool at my parents' in Florida, and I was on vacation, and they're like, well, you're going to go to firearms school. And I said, all right, then. So I went to instructor school, and they really don't teach you anything. I mean, they teach you how to teach the qualification course. And I mean, I could always qualify, but I can tell you this, that I honestly do not know how I did it. Like, I can't look back and say, well, I watched the sights and I pressed the trigger nice and I did this or that. I just shot the gun in the direction of the paper. I mean,
yeah.
And
I mean, the qualifying and the instruction that police get or certainly got back then, it was very specific to just making the qual, right?
Yeah. Don't shoot anybody. Don't shoot yourself. Pass the qual and get off the range.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it was. And then, it wasn't long after that, they asked me to be on the tactical team. So I became a SWAT guy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, everybody has ego, but it's not like I have a huge ego. And I mean, of course I wanted to be a SWAT guy. SWAT, sit, wait, and talk. That's what it stands for. It's either that or sit, wait, and think, but it's pretty much sit, wait, and talk. And, SWAT is what it is. I mean, you show up, you force somebody to either kill themselves or surrender, and then you leave. But
it's not all excitement all the time.
It's not all. Yeah. I mean, there's guns going off, not always in your direction, but hey, there's stuff going on.
Wow.
But
what was that like? I mean, doing SWAT and because people have this image of, man, you're kicking indoors and you're getting bad guys. I mean, was there some of that, or was it? Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like everybody wants to be the first one in because everybody wants the action. But I was always of the mindset that I didn't care what I did. I just wanted to be there and be valuable to the team. Mm-hmm. And so I was the doorman, ended up being the doorman, so I did a lot of breaching and things like that. And I broke down a lot of doors, knocked a lot of people down. If the door was open and someone was in the way, I got to handle them, which was cool, I mean, it's very exciting. It's very cool. It's very neat. But the best thing about being a doorman is you break the door down, you get out of the way, everybody else goes in, you drop the ram, not on somebody's toes. You drop the ram, you pull out your pistol, you go in and you say, okay, who needs help?
Hopefully the hard stuff has been done by the time you get there.
It's so funny, but I mean, there was times when, I took a guy out of a doorway and I took him down. I did everything, exactly as I trained to do. I mean, I've been fortunate to go to so much training because of everything that I've done mm-hmm. and all the opportunities I've had. I go to a lot of training. So I had some pretty good hand-to-hand skills, and I took this guy down, and it was so funny because I took him down, but his legs never cleared the doorway. And the first three guys on the team all fell, and they were like on the ground, and they looked over at me like, dude, what the hell? I was like, hey, man, there's only so much room in here to get this guy out of the way.
So they're tripping on the other guy's legs?
Oh, my God, yeah, they piled up like freaking dominoes. But, and so then I was a SWAT guy. I did that. I advanced through SWAT, as a team leader, and ultimately near the end there, I was the commander. And so I got to run all that firearms training. I got to run a lot of tactical training. We did a lot of force on force. We did a lot of simunitions back then, and the logistics for that stuff. It's a lot because you got to find a training venue. You got to find a house that's going to be destroyed or someplace that's going to let you do it, a business. You had to get role players. And sometimes we coordinate with all people all across the city just to get, I mean, we would get big groups of role players. I mean, we would do a full week of training. I mean, we did everything. I mean, there was even a time when our old team leader brought in the National Guard and we did some helicopter work.
No kidding.
You know, because it's like you just do stuff. I mean, that's the best part about SWAT is that you get to train. So I guess it could be sit, wait, and train. Because honestly, the camaraderie and the training are what makes SWAT, because it's not about the excitement, the adventure. I mean, you get a little puckered up. There's crazy things that happen and, you know, guns go off sometimes. But, I mean, it's really just, I mean, you just don't think about it. Just like these military guys, they just do it. They sign up for it. And people always, they say, oh, thank you for your service. You know, and they find out you'd been in law enforcement 30 years. And I think, why would you thank me? I mean, they paid me for that. It's not like,
I didn't do it for free.
It's not like I did it out of the kindness of my heart. I did it because it was the only thing I was good at.
Yeah.
I mean, I became a cop because I couldn't do math in college. I took criminal justice in college because I could take a language instead.
Okay.
I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Yeah.
But I'm not smart enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hold on, Chris. We got to pay some bills. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Smith & Wesson. The CSX is their brand new platform. Hammer-fired micro 9mm aluminum alloy frame and a lot of ambi controls on this. Comes with a 10-round magazine and an extended 12-round magazine, smith-wesson.com. And then Savage Arms. They actually are in the handgun world. They have a new EDC handgun. It's called the Stance. It's a micro compact 9mm. It has a chassis system, so the serialized component of the pistol is the chassis. It gives them flexibility in offering a variety of grip frames, good texturing. Comes with 2 interchangeable back straps for small and large size grips. Check that out at savagearms.com. So I know that there was, and I don't know the exact journey, but then at some point you were an air marshal. How'd that come about?
Well, while I was, when I was a cop, 9/11 happened. So I was a SWAT guy and a firearms instructor and a field training officer, and I was running defensive tactics training and doing all that stuff for the agency. And I mean, I really had it made. I mean, I was working a great shift and doing things. And one of our guys had gone to the Air Marshals because he was the fellow that kind of mentored me in training and kept sending me to classes and making me better and better and better. And he said he went over there. So he was working in Artesia, New Mexico as a trainer, and he had applied to be an air marshal. And I guess he was getting, you know, hired, I guess like 6 million people applied for that.
Wow.
Yeah. And they only hired so many.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many they hired because I'm probably still liable for saying any of that.
You
stuff,
gotta be careful what you say. Yeah. So, well, that was kind of a program that I think it's a program that people they know it exists. They don't know the extent of it. You know, is it like, and it's probably stuff that I'm not asking you to divulge.
Here's what I tell people all the time. I say, well, there's like over 30,000 flights a day. How many air marshals would you have to cover that?
Wow.
Yeah. So you'd have to, I mean, and there's just no way you can cover everything, but
there had to be some specialized training for that, really specific to being on a plane, being an air marshal.
Well, that's when I started getting really good with a gun, is because to be an air marshal in the beginning, you really had to shoot well. So I went there, I called off sick. I went through the interview process. They found out I was there and I wasn't sick. And nobody was too upset with me, but they were upset that I was going to potentially leave. And I did get offered a job, and I took it. And I ended up being in Cleveland field office, which was, you know, where I lived, Cleveland area. And so they put me on the flight schedule when I got hired there. But the training was in Artesia, New Mexico, so we did a lot of fighting, a lot of hand to hand. We shot every day, and it was every day. I think my range session was like from 1 till 3. So our
every day,
our group was in Artesia, New Mexico in the summer.
Oh,
you know, so it was like 115 every day.
Oh my
and my hands were sweaty, and we're shooting at 357 SIG, 229, and I was just like, I was scared to death because I just wanted to do well. And I mean, again, I was the best of the bad lot. I started learning though what made me better, but it wasn't until later in the Air Marshal times that I learned why I was good or how to be good. But I was on the flight schedule for a while, and then they said, "Hey, you're pretty good. Do you want to be a trainer?"
Oh, okay.
So they took me off the flight schedule, put me in the field office as a trainer, and that's when I really started getting good with a handgun and learning how to shoot and kind of understanding what it took to shoot.
Yeah. What kind of stuff did you guys do as an air marshal? I mean, is that something that you can talk about, like the type of, I mean, you think about, well, you ride on a plane and in case something happens, you're there, but there's got to be more specific things than that. Maybe some.
Well, we every month you had a week of training. So like every month, and then it kind of ended up being like every quarter because the government wants their slice out of you. I mean, they're not going to. Initially, we trained a lot. I mean, we trained all the time. We shot like 1,000 rounds every month, and we had a week of training, and then we flew the rest of the time. But it kind of got cut back from there, and everything just kind of you're like a fire extinguisher, okay? Certain people know you're there, and they know not to call on you unless you're absolutely needed. I was on the Special Missions Group, SMG. Sounds cool, doesn't it? I was on the SMG.
Get a t-shirt for that or something?
Of course, hey, it's like, hey, you're pretty good. You got your head on straight. You want to be on the Special Missions Group? Yeah, why wouldn't
Hell
I?
Yeah. I don't know what they do, but it sounds
the hazing
awesome.
for that was a long bunch of training. Oh yeah, we were up for days and doing all kinds of stuff and crazy things. And I was young. I mean, I was 35. I think I went to the Air Marshals when I was like 33 to 36. And I'm literally in the prime of my life. I could run faster and farther. I could fight. I could do 20 pull-ups. Yeah. I could bench 225 like 27 times I did it. I mean, it's like NFL. I mean, it was all we did. And then we shot. Shot. So then the Special Missions Group, like president, like Argentina comes in and he's got his security force and they detail you on them and you're going to watch them and follow them and follow them until they get to a certain point, and then you pass them off to another fam that's, going to pick them up and take them the rest of the way on their journey or something.
Interesting.
Or they get intel that, this guy with salt and pepper gray hair, he's a young white male wearing a green shirt. He's meets some kind of profile. He's a person of interest, and they say, hey, you're going to follow him until you get to Salt Lake, and then you're going to pass him off to somebody else, and then somebody else follows him because they want to know where he goes. It's not
that they're a known criminal. It's just they're a person of interest, and we're just going to keep an eye on them.
What the hell they're doing, yeah.
While they're flying.
Yeah. And, and there's times you maybe do something on an airplane, but all you do is act as a concerned citizen. Like, I was coming across from England one time, and this guy that was, he didn't speak so good English. I don't know that he spoke any, but he wanted to sit next to me in this empty seat. And he kept coming up, and the flight attendant would talk to him. He'd go back, and it kept coming up. And finally she said, if this guy comes up here again, he's really freaking me out. Will you do something? And I said, I don't know what I can do. I'll see. So he comes up, and I walked over and I said, hey man, what is your problem? I want to sit here. You want to sit in that seat? And I was like, no, you're not sitting there. You go back to your seat. And I said, I want to sit here. I want to sit here. And I grabbed him and I shook him up, and I just told him, I used a couple F-bombs in there, and I told him, I said, if you come back up here again, I'm going to tie you in your F-bomb seat. And he never came back up running the airplane again.
But it wasn't ever like identified as an air marshal. You're just kind of pretending to be
like, hey man, what's
citizen.
going on? You're freaking this lady out here.
Interesting.
And I'm gonna. I mean, and if he wants to fight, and if he pulls out a knife or something, I mean, it was going to be on, but it wasn't. And I mean, it just, things like that happen.
Yeah.
But it's just, so, I mean, it was cool. So everybody wants to know why I should be doing first person offender, or why I should be talking about training or giving training tips. I've been doing this stuff all my life.
Well, especially
all my life.
when you can hear it over and over. So they put me into more training. And it's not just seeking out training. It's like, this is your job to go get training and get trained up and learn from probably really good instructors.
Yeah. I mean, I trained with some of the best people. I mean, I still shoot with the best people in the world.
Yeah. All right. So law enforcement to air marshal.
We're not even done yet.
We're not even done yet.
We're not even close.
No, we're not. We're not done. In fact, we have a couple sponsors to thank. The Armscor and Rock Island Armory, the STK 100 9mm is their first striker-fired pistol. It's an aluminum frame. Are you seeing a trend here in guns lately? 1911 grip angle, extended beaver tail. It has that 1911 heritage because that's what Rock Island Armory is really known for. But this is a 17-round capacity gun, updated with an optics plate, universals for micro red dots, and they've lowered the MSRP on this guy to $499. Check that out at armscor.com. And then also Vortex Optics. New from Vortex is the Strike Eagle 1 to 8 power. That's a perfect true 1 power on the low end for rapid engagement. And then, of course, crank it up to 8 and reach out far. The AR BDC-3 illuminated glass-etched reticle is specifically tuned to the ballistic performance of common 5.56 loads. Check that out at vortexoptics.com. So, Chris, there's another reason people know you. And
I didn't even finish the training part.
All right.
With the Air Marshal. So I go. I'm in the Air Marshals. They say, hey, you're pretty good. You want to be a trainer? So I go to be a trainer. And when I really got good with a gun was when I had to remediate people that were having a problem qualifying. Because I had to not only figure out how to make them better, but I had to understand why I was better. Because this one day, this guy said to me, he said, I want to shoot like you. And I thought, man, that's probably a compliment, but I'm not sure why I shoot this well.
Well, I would. So I play drums, and I've never taken a lesson. I've never taken a drum lesson, and I literally, when I was in 6th grade, I paid a kid $50 for his crappy drum set. I brought it home. I set it up. I put on Guns N' Roses, and I started playing Paradise City. I literally just sat down and started playing the whole song.
Damn.
And my dad had been a drummer. So there's something in me about it. My grandpa had been a drummer, but it just like made sense to me. Now I wasn't like good at being a 12-year-old kid playing drums, sure, but I could bang away and basically play the parts. And then I played a lot and practiced a lot. So it's kind of like, I feel like because I never was taught, I always had a hard time explaining how to play drums to somebody. Although you did a lot of training.
I think that's the case with a lot of professional shooters. They don't know why they're good. So I had to figure out why I was good, because I would sit there and work with these people and I'd think, man, what is it that I feel? What is it I experience when I shoot? What is it I feel here in my hands or on the trigger? Or what do I see in the sights? What gets me there? Mm-hmm. So I started diagnosing all those things, and that's when I started. I mean, I started fixing people. And I started imparting knowledge on them, and it was working. So mm-hmm. then I was learning twice, because to teach is to learn twice.
Yeah. And
I'm learning all this stuff. So, man, all of a sudden I'm becoming a gunslinger.
Yeah. Well, you sat around. I love that, because you're going, I don't know why is this working for me? I've heard Rob Latham say that a lot of his training happens in his lazy boy. He's sitting in the living room and he's thinking about his shooting, and he's thinking about stages and when to reload and when to do this and that. You have some thoughts on that as far as the mental training aspect of it?
Yeah. I mean, if you're not rehearsing stuff in your brain all the time, I mean, you have to figure out what it is you're doing all the time, and you have to think about it. But, I feel strongly about mental rehearsal. So I was doing really good with the FAMs, and I was enjoying the training. I had good hours. I wasn't flying anymore unless it was a special mission. They needed somebody to do something. And then I got in a fight with somebody there, and they said, due to my inability to effectively get along with and manage this person, that they were putting me back on the flight schedule.
Really?
Yeah, and I said, F that.
That sounds like some government stuff, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter how good you are. We can't do anything with him, so you're going away.
Uh-huh.
So they threatened that they were going to put me on a flight schedule, which I did. But then at that same time, a job opened up with the state of Ohio at the Ohio Attorney General's office. And I ended up becoming the lead firearms instructor for the Northern Ohio Peace Officer Training Academy. I was one of 110 people that applied, and my time with the FAMs, because, man, we did so much force on force. We did scenario training. Again, I was always in the mix and was coordinating and finding venues and purchasing equipment and putting stuff together. And I was doing all that stuff. And it was like, when I went to the state of Ohio, it was like a no-brainer for me. So then I was there for 5 years, but I also became a master instructor with revolver, the semi-automatic, of course, pistol, revolver, AR-15, shotgun, semi-auto, and pump.
And that's a great point. Is there are people who are good shooters and they're good with basically one platform.
Yeah.
I'm a revolver shooter, or I'm a rifle shooter, I'm a shotgun shooter. But I mean, you're having to not only shoot it all, but be able to teach it all.
Yeah. I mean, even the submachine guns, I did all that stuff, and I just applied it the way I did with the handgun. I figured out how to do it, and I figured out how to get other people to do it really well. And that's when I got on Top Shot.
So he says it so joyfully. That's when that happened.
Well, then my life changed again. I mean, it's continuing.
Gosh. So then reality TV became a big thing and a bigger thing. It's still a big thing. Sidebar, it's really cheap to produce reality TV, by the way. That's why it's so, it does well. But so you applied Top Shot on History Channel, right?
Yeah.
Or Discovery, History.
Yeah, History.
And I mean, that was a big, you were in the first season.
They only had like 6,000 applicants though.
But it was a big, it did really well. It probably did better than they expected.
Yeah, it did fantastic. I was one of 6,000 applicants. I made the top 50. They brought me out to LA. I mean, the only reason I applied is because everybody kept sending me the email. History Channel seeks ultimate marksman. If you're good with all these weapons, you have a big personality. History Channel's looking for you. Mm-hmm. And finally, one day I read through it and it said, all you have to do is send a paragraph and a picture. So I said, oh, shit. I said, oh, shucks, why not? I'll do it. And they called me. So they called me, and I was a little tipsy that it was a Friday evening. It's L.A. They call you at 5:30 because it's L.A. and they're calling, Ohio. And I was tipsy, and the guy says, hey, this is so-and-so from whatever productions, Pilgrim Productions are calling about this show. And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, sure. And he's talking to me, and he's like, yeah, we'd like to talk to you some more, send you some paperwork. Can you do this? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. Okay. And it happened. I mean, they sent me the stuff and I did it.
What was the process on getting on the show? What did they flew you out? They had you shoot? What else?
Yeah, they brought us out. There was 50 of us. They gave us, they did a psychological test.
That's interesting.
I've passed a few of those. I did a psychological test, a medical evaluation, blood test.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a full physical, and then we did a interview with the board of Pilgrim Films and the president of Pilgrim Films. Plus, we also did a shooting thing out at like some pistol club, and we shot all those different guns that were kind of on the show, a lot of them. And man, I don't know that I hit anything with the Mosin Nagant because the thing shoots 3 feet high at 100 yards. I mean, it's zeroed for like this ridiculous distance, and it was, but and basically it wasn't just about your shooting, but I did okay. I mean, I can shoot anything, so I did the best I could and let it rip.
So, I mean, there were a lot of people who were fans of that show. What was it like being on the show?
It was one of the coolest things in my entire life. It changed my life completely, and if I hadn't been on that show, I wouldn't be sitting here with you. Would never have met you, would never gone to SHOT Show. I would never known all the people I know, wouldn't have had the opportunities I have. I mean, the coolest thing about being on the show was the way it changed my life. The other coolest thing about being on the show was all the people that come up to you and say, man, I really liked you on that. I wish you'd have won. They talk to you, and it's like just the coolest thing because there's so many people out there that are nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, I'm sure with all the different platforms now, it's still out there. I'm sure people are still watching it. And
oh yeah, I just watched All Stars for the very first time 2 weeks ago. I bought it off of Amazon Prime. I sat down and I watched it because I live alone now.
Because you hadn't watched it.
Never watched it. I've never seen it, and I couldn't. It was so weird because I couldn't tell you what happened each time. Like I got the Johnny Morris fishing rod and reel in my house. I still have it, brand new in the box. I got a backpack. Brand new in a bag still. I got a tent or something, and it's all brand new. And I was watching the show and I go, oh my God, this is when I get that fishing rod. This is when I win this one. I win this one. You watch. I was like talking to myself going, oh yeah.
I think I know what's going to happen.
And there's other ones I'm watching. I'm going, I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea.
Well, it's been a while.
Well, I was 45. And I'm 52 now, so I haven't seen it. I was on it 7 years ago, haven't seen it in 7 years, haven't really even thought about it. And somebody mentioned something about it, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try to find it. And I couldn't find it, and I ended up paying $20. I was like, screw it, man, $20, and I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to watch it.
He was on the show and hadn't even seen it. So you ended up being on how many episodes?
Well, the first season was like 10 episodes. And 33 or 34 days. All Stars was 12 episodes and like 46 days. So I've been in more challenges, more episodes of Top Shot than anybody else because I made it to second place both times. I made it all the way through the end.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah. I guess,
I was there until the freaking door closed, until they swept the floors.
So now you've been in the gun industry for I guess about 10 years or so, doing various things.
2011.
And we're excited to have you here because you're going to be running all the training that we're going to be offering at our new place.
That's right. We're going to be doing it all. We're going to have the first person defender experience. We're going to have all my classic, pistol classes. I mean, I've trained a lot of gunfighters. I've trained a lot of gunfighters. I've had a lot of people call me and tell me about their shootings and tell me that, my voice was in their head or whatever I told them worked, and honestly, of all the gunfights, I only have one person that ever missed a round, and it was only because he was shooting through the windshield. But honest to God, every one of them spent 100% hits on target and 100% dead suspects.
Wow.
Every shooting that has been, product of one of my students.
So if people are listening to this and they're like, wow, that sounds interesting.
Doesn't sound interesting, I don't know how interesting.
What more can we do here?
I know.
So like reach out, info@guntalk.com, or you can, the name of the shooting school part of it is Range Ready.
Yep.
It's we thought Gun Talk is a really bad name for a shooting school, or at least I did. And so you can go to rangereadystudios.com. You can sign up for emails. We're still finalizing the building. It's not quite ready.
There's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do, but
it's coming.
I guess the way I'd put it is there's a lot planned for the second half of this year. So get ready. Chris, we're happy to have you on board, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's going to be good to get back into more training and more gun stuff. Cause the last year has been hell for me. I got divorced and I've been working for a gun company.
Which is different, one gun company.
Yes.
Now, as you already, you're here and you're like, we get to play with all the stuff.
Yeah, I know.
We work with all the different companies.
I get to touch Springfield, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, Stoger. I get to touch them all. Colt, anything that's out there. Now I get to work with them all, and I get to figure them out and teach other people how to do it.
It's going to be fun. So Hang around because next week we're going to have a part 2 with Chris talking some more stuff. But that's it for us this week on Gun Talk Nation.